I think the division as it stands right now, and it has been, there have been different divisions over the course of time. Over the course of the 34 plus years I've been here, there have been different divisions. The division that exists now, as I would read it, is a division, interestingly, it's not a division between older and younger. It's not a division in terms of gender. It's not a division even in terms of subject matter. It is a division in terms of what we've just talked about. And that is, there are those who are very demanding that the historian be engaged in these theoretical discussions. And there are those, and I would include myself among them, who do not make those demands. That doesn't mean that we don't like
it doesn't mean you reject somebody who was.
No, I would not.
Yeah.
I think some of that division now has to do, not always, but sometimes, between people who are doing more recent history and people who are doing older historical subject matter. The older historical subject matter, which often requires various kinds of language skills and other kinds of almost, what I'll include here is archival skills, paleographic, the ability to decipher handwritings, things of that sort, which are frequently true, are always true of older history as opposed to more recent history. There is something of that divide, because those historians often need to do a great deal of just cumulative work before they can even get to figuring out what they've got. And so I think there is something of a divide. But I don't see the divide being healed, if you're asking me that. I don't see the divide being healed. And I think it's the result, and again, one of these paradoxes, it's the result of cultural history having come in and having taken over the field in many ways. So that, whereas previously it had been, the contention had been to try to keep cultural history out, now that cultural history has taken over the field, it's like cultural history is the only way to do history, which I emphatically reject. I mean, I just think that's just basically wrong. Again, I'm a cultural historian, but I refuse, maybe it's my personal background. I don't know. But since I was an undergraduate, very attracted to logic and a kind of super coherence, analytic coherence, I have tried to prevent myself from falling into that trap. And I went
trap
of logic and coherence overtaking reality. Because I think logic is the great deceiver. That if you only allow logic to take over, that is not the way the world operates. It doesn't operate by logical principles. I have no evidence for it in my life. So logic is a wonderful relief from sometimes the incoherence of reality.
The messiness.
The messiness, yes. The messiness. And that's why we do what we do. I mean, intellectuals need coherence, and therefore we try to bring coherence and a kind of consistent meaning to things. But by overreaching, by making it too consistent and too neat, we're losing the reality.
And that's what you think this over-reliance on theory.
I do. And because I just think history is messy. And the interpretation of history is messy. And I think theory allows you to bring some coherence, which, again, is good, but within limits. Not so that it overcomes every other kind of historical endeavor, because then we're really going to get caught. And we will also become old-fashioned very quickly.
Because this won't last forever,
exactly.
Probably.
We need multiple places of historical, of mythological ferment in the department, because nothing lasts forever. No particular fad lasts forever. Whether it's an archival fad or a social history fad or a cultural, it just doesn't. Because it can't. I mean, history is constantly being informed by present day, not only methodological perspectives, but present day understandings. I just don't see that as a possibility. So I'd hate us to fall into that trap.